Hello everyone, and welcome to ZeldaSpeedRuns. So today we have the Ocarina of Randomizer Standard Tournament Season 6 Loser Brackets Round 1 between DubuDeccer and Xenoh. So on commentary we will have, I think it was, sorry, I lost my sheets. So on commentary we will have Yoshikion and Runes, and on tracking we will have Making Merry. So thanks everyone, and have a great race.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Welcome.
Back again so soon.
Yep, and this time we got a hype match between DubuDeccer and Xenoh.
So, first major tournament for both of them.
Yeah, so the stats page is a little messed up. There's a lot of Drunus here. I assure you, I've never played either of these runners in a competitive setting.
Those would be what? Haiti and Scarlet? Yeah.
Yeah, from last year.
So their actual tournament records, again, the sheet that I've got isn't 100% accurate yet. Very similar results overall in tournaments. Decca has played more, with just both more wins and losses. But very notably, a lot of Xenoh's wins have come through League and Blitz tournaments. The difference in terms of like major tournaments they've taken part in, Decca has played a lot more experience in these kind of high stakes matches. With a generally positive record as well, courtesy of the speed gaming events. So, probably, and I mean, if you look at the seed, if you look at the recent races, it shows the same story. The edge is on Decca's side at this point, but we all know how this top 64 goes, we all know how any major tournament in this game goes. Given the right seed, given the right circumstances, anyone can take a game off pretty much anyone.
Yeah, and like as far as like seeding goes, and like with these settings and like how close the points were at the end of the qualifiers and stuff like that, like I would say like mid-range top 64 is pretty close to bottom of top 64. Bottom of top 64 is like pretty close to like middle of Challenge Cup. Like everybody is so packed together. It should be a close race, honestly.
Like I said, I don't know why Decca's file name we can see is Thespian Decca, which I guess is because
that's
doing
fair.
a lot of
I mean,
stage stuff at the moment.
yeah, Decker's very involved with the theater world, so
I feel like
sense.
We should probably clarify here, like, we've both been on teams with Decca before. I was the person who dragged Decca fairly reluctantly into this community. So we'll do our best not to be too biased with the comms, I think.
Yeah, I mean, typically we're okay, I think.
Yeah. So we do have a light medallion start, which, hot take, I think that's worse than a stone.
Yeah.
And Saria's, oh, this is awful.
Child start though. I mean, maybe we'll get a cool spawn.
I guess I should clarify something with that. The light medallion start. So the reason I say I think that's worse than a stone is like the stone at least gives you some information on how much you're going to be playing out and everything, like how much it gives you like a step towards a potential song. Like there's a lot of value within that knowledge, whereas light medallion is just kind of the nothing, the vanilla, I guess, for it. But one of the things that I think always comes up with this is people talk about oh, it's more likely to be all dungeons, or it's more likely to, you know, be a jet seed with the starting medallions or whatever. And firstly, I don't know how much that matters, but secondly, that only favors one runner. It's not like both runners are bad with it being all dungeons. One of them would prefer that, presumably.
And we're off.
Ooh.
So Kokiri Shop, not the coolest spawn. I mean, if Deku's required, at least you have like really quick access. You can also make use of this Saria song relatively early, which is nice.
Aria said she's waiting at the usual spot, so...
Yeah, so I guess we'll just head up there.
Also, yeah, jokes in chat about vanilla spawns, and yeah, they're pretty close, honestly. Struggling to find the chests going around Midas as well. Vision's blocked by this one.
Yeah, I don't think Decker actually opened that chest back there.
Not... I don't think the eyeball frog is really what you want at this point.
That was eye drops?
Eye drop, sorry, that one.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good thing because of the frog, specifically. Like,
It's a little spooky. So obviously, like the way the trade item works is any trade item with a timer. So the frog or eye drops, you like they'll revert back to prescription if you save quit or if you die. So they're probably gonna be trying to hold on to these eye drops before, like, until they get a big Goron hint, or
I think you
until
reset here. I'm with the chat on this one. I think resetting here to keep that as an option later is a good idea.
Mhm.
That's a really interesting one to see, though, and it's not something that comes up often at all. You don't tend to just see that, oh god, I got the trade item, what do I do with this? How do I get around it?
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen like a trade item start in a really long time. So it's possible like nobody's like really brushed up on it or like is really thinking about what you should do in this scenario. Personally, I would have probably kept it, but I just wouldn't have thought of the reset, honestly.
For some reason, I always think of reset strats, which is really bad because I'm playing PC now. But... so I need to stop doing that. Still got that MU mindset. Right, we haven't even spoken about the custom meta, like custom model meta even. Miku or Hinata, which side are you on this one?
Hinata, easy.
Ah, no, I'm definitely a Miku kind of girl.
But you watch Black Rock Shooters.
Right, exactly, and not Naruto, so...
Yeah, exactly.
So unsurprisingly, we will see them both just head up towards the song here. And like, I don't think anyone's surprised to see this. But then, and I imagine out of this, we'll just see them head over towards Lon Lon and then Market. Assuming they can get the time of day for it.
Yeah, it should be no
It
problem.
should be good, yeah.
Because in Randomizer, your time of day starts at the very start of day. I think like even if you were to beat Deku, I think you would still have time to make Lon Lon and Market.
Yeah, I think that one gets a little closer. You have to... I don't think you can make any stops on the way where you can.
Prelude is gonna help though.
Yeah, that kind of clears it up pretty neatly. Also, Colossus to Bongo when we already... Well, I guess we have... I was going to say we have a Colossus hint, but it's the Spirit Hands. Just listed as Colossus.
So 250 hints up here.
$50 incredibly dead already.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first big divergence we'll probably see here then would be the split between, do you just go to adult Kakariko or do you make that trip towards the river along the way? There isn't a lot to do in adult right now, even though they've got to kind of get something soon. It's just a question of what.
Yeah. Oh wow, a green rupee.
Wait, is that?
Splinrova. So.
But it was already Colossus to Bongo as well, so we have two. Okay, we have two things in Colossus already. That's kind of wild.
Okay, so Decker is opting to walk from the market to Lon Lon, whereas Xeno just went for a save warp. I believe save warp's probably faster, but you get earlier info from Temple of Time.
It's still 30, 40 in Cactomorpha, but I missed the first one.
It was a sometimes I don't target dead. Oh yeah, it's important to note that I think the reason Decker played Prelude despite maybe the save warp being faster is to keep those eye drops. Whereas Xeno just lost them.
Right, yeah, true.
So yeah, if something is on Big Goron, I think like Decker gains an advantage there.
I do think it's... Actually, I was gonna say, I guess the odds of you... I was gonna say it's gonna be difficult to keep those around the entire time. You know, you've got so much that you're gonna be doing, and not save resetting is gonna be a nightmare. But actually going up there, your first kind of trip through Kakariko to Death Mountain isn't unreasonable here.
Yeah, I mean, like, you get any bow, any strength, any explosives, like, you can get up there. If you get Bolero with the hover boots, you can get up there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the odds of you being able to get to Big Goron are pretty high.
Also, I saw it come up earlier, and while they're just going through Lon Lon here, I'm not in the position to explain why Adult River is the good play, but I know you're a fan of it, so...
Yeah, it's just lots of hints, a few item checks that are, like, kind of out of the way, and, like, including one that is a Sphere Zero check. Doesn't really take a lot of time, like, just, like, a couple minutes, but it can definitely pay off pretty big. And if you have the items to, like if you have a scale or iron boots or something, you can carry on through Lost Woods and grab a song from Minuet if you feel like walking all the way up there. It's a pretty solid play, honestly. I know like a lot of players have adopted it since Quals.
And I guess the potential for the sometimes Frog's hint is one of the biggest parts of that. That being added in is pretty huge as well, because the risk of not... Like, it used to be that you wanted to go as child because you didn't want to isolate that, but it's kind of lower risk to isolate that now.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even think about the risk that much. So Decker will be doubling back in a market for slingshot target or slingshot shooting gallery.
Oh, didn't have the rupees earlier, I guess?
Yeah, and Xeno's just opting to go straight adult. Doesn't have the rupees at the moment, so
Yeah,
Would have to go and farm and come back in. It's a huge time investment for a single check.
I find it
So,
really surprising that Xeno had Hinata, but then just Link. It's just Link.
so it looks like our stones are Jabu Forest Fire. Goron Bracelet can be pretty big. You can turn in the big Goron item with that.
Yeah, that's exactly the kind of thing that could pay out here. And if nothing else, like, it just gets you into Dodongo's Cavern on the way as well. That's really good for this early adult one
At least,
segment.
like, it gives you something to do out of CAC, right? So,
Right, because what does Xeno do? Xeno after this goes... follows any songs, and then that's it. You're kind of stranded. You're doing these one-off checks, which includes going back and doing the shooting game.
yeah. To be fair, like, I mean, like, also, it unlocks a song, which is really, really nice. Of course, like, Xeno can just find any of, like, bow, bomb, strength, whatever that we were talking about earlier, and gain that same access, but he won't have access to the big Goron anymore until
Right, yeah.
he can unfreeze King Zoran, or King Zoran? Yeah, that's the one.
King Zordon. Down. Yeah, no, I think that's the big thing, right? Is like if we find bombs or bomb chews in particular around Kakariko, then the strength doesn't do that much right now. But if we find those, and if we don't, then yeah, the Bolero song track is open. The Dodongo's Cavern is open. Like, that strength just offers so much in this early game that if we get locked out here, Xeno is going to miss.
Requiem's pretty good. We got a double path Colossus, so
Makes sense? Yeah.
yeah,
Kind of
definitely
had to be
wanna.
early, I think, with that.
Yeah, yeah, we definitely want to get out there and see what that song is. I guess Decker went for the like doing graveyard first, pathing towards Man on Roof, and then we'll probably continue up DMT.
It does kind of raise the question of when does Deca go back for to play Requiem, because Xeno presumably will. You know, we were talking about running out of options. Oh, never mind. That's not running out of options just yet. Then, be curious to see how many are in this, but that could be a big deal right now. Then. And if it's, if it's 5, I'd be worried, but anything more than that, I think you're good.
Yeah, I would agree.
The Miku leak sword is so good to me still.
Yeah, I love it. Song of Storms. So that's something I was thinking might be in Colossus. So I think Colossus might just end up being Nocturne, which is not super exciting.
It'd make sense. It's, yeah, as you say, kind of boring, but yeah. I don't think either of the runners are going to complain about boring. They'll just take whatever the seed throws at them, and if it's fairly linear, fairly self-explanatory, then they'll just hope that they fall on the good side of that. I think we'd like to see something a little more interesting typically. I know chat always wants to see something a little more quirky with the logic, but For the runners at least, they won't mind.
It's looking like at this point with Decker's route through the seed so far, and like the route he's taking through CAC, he's going to have a guaranteed Hylian shield at the top of CAC, which is nice.
Oh, true, yeah. And still go down and grab the one in the crate on the way out. Also, you're the first person I've known to say Hylian.
Yeah, I don't know. I switch between the two. Hylian. Hylian seems like it would make more sense, but
People judge me for it, but I used to say Gerudo.
yeah, I know. I'm one of the people.
I still sometimes switch between the two. Alright, so we are gonna see this early Colossus. I don't know what else Xeno had at this point. I think that's a big part of it is.
Yeah, like there's bomb shoes, but it's like I don't even think they checked how many bomb shoes they had.
No, not yet. Well, it is just Nocturne though, so
if it was the 20, like I think it absolutely would have been worth going up DMT, at least to like Dodongo's Cavern and seeing what's there.
I guess part of it though is with those double path hints, you're kind of assuming that Nocturne will be here, and at that point, cool, you've got a free trip back.
So this works out really nicely, by the way. Obviously Xeno came here and got Nocturne, which we were saying was probably fairly obvious. But the other item is just going to be in Colossus Fairy, which he can get right now.
Yeah, for sure.
That's going to be Pat the Twin Rova. It could be like another strength. Honestly, at this point, it could be like just about anything. And that is the 22 pack, which is pretty big. I'd imagine with that, we see Xeno just play Nocturne and go back and do DC.
Yeah, no, I don't see a world where you don't at this point.
Let's see what our big item is.
I don't know if Decca meant to go back into that grotto there.
It happens. Mirror Shield, that's the most boring option.
Yeah, very linear, very clean cut. Yes, you do need the Mirror Shield to beat Twin Rover, but it doesn't really offer you much else.
Also, Decker's wasting money on this shield when he's gonna get a Mirror Shield. Pretty sad.
True, true. I guess, I mean, having the shield for Dodongo's Cavern is so nice, but... And like... Yeah, Decker's not going to play Requiem for a little while still. I don't know if Decker meant to put on the hovers there, but
no, it happened.
Very quickly took them off again. Interesting that Decker didn't equip the shoes earlier, so we aren't going to see the Redead Grotto here that Xeno is currently doing. Yeah, not a big one though.
So I guess Decker's route through here, based on this, is he's just gonna go up, do all of like Goron City, Crater, whatever, and then just drop down, do DC, and then probably do Redead Grotto out of that.
Right, come out and cack, and then there's also if you get a bow along the way, you can pick up the shooting gallery while you're there.
Unless he's just grabbing the grotto before DC. Nah.
Nah, the eye drops equip makes me think that this is definitely a play around anyways.
Yeah, honestly, he probably just wants to get rid of those to just not have to think about it anymore.
We already have all of our path hints with that as well now. No hint to Dodongo's Cavern, which, you know, not super unexpected, but it is good information to have still.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically we just know that your bombs aren't going to lock your bombs. There's going to be 2 bomb bags available, at least, somehow.
It'll be interesting to see when they find the opportunity to go over to Sacred Forest Meadow at this point. I think if you're in Decker's shoes here, if you grab this song and it's either Bolero or Minuet, I think you just get it now, right?
Yeah. Serenade isn't gonna be super good for that, though. Decker having a little fall there.
That's not the angle you want.
You don't... Why are you rushing? Just take it slow, you have eye drops, you don't want the timer to run out.
I didn't even consider that part of it, but yeah, no, that's absolutely a massive factor there.
Yeah, if that timer runs out, those eye drops are gone.
Was this a... I thought
Didn't
it
you
was
look at this? It
Bloopy,
was a
but-
bloopy.
Yeah, okay. I guess he didn't get a good view of it.
You do not want
This timer is dangerous. Oh, that post.
He should be fine, but
Doesn't get to look at the wall
I wouldn't
yet,
have even
but
risked it.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
unnecessary. This is fine though.
Oh, and our first bomb bag
Vanilla
coming out
bomb.
of vanilla, yeah. And yes, the early strength does mean that you can do that the vanilla intended method. Wow.
Interesting.
I actually, you know what? I was going to say, okay, well, you're not intended to do the jump in vanilla, I guess. But we do also have a slingshot, so you can actually just do this the vanilla intended method.
Yeah. Yes, that fish is very hot. Decker is saving him from the crater.
Great meal. You should fry some fish over here. Alright. It's a big moment of truth, because if this is something important, then
Oh, it's the clean
Decker
check.
has a... I swear to God.
That could be huge. Okay, just a bunch of stones.
You hand a big Goron a rock and he's like, here, have this rock.
Rock for rock is a pretty fair trade.
So it's worth noting that hasn't been... It's not like that cost Decker time. I assume Xeno is still going to come up there. It just means, you know, not just instantly far, far ahead by getting an item that Xeno's going to have to invest a lot of time into.
Yeah, pretty much. It was basically like Big Goron's either going to be something and Decker's way ahead, or it's going to be nothing, and it doesn't matter to either runner. Okay,
Oh!
that was close. See what King Dodongo has here. Ooh, that could be another stick upgrade.
I gotta say, I'm not a fan of any of the Miku model sounds.
The sounds are just like it's a completely different thing altogether.
Just a different pack that, like, I know there isn't a Miku sound because Deca was talking about wanting there to be one, but I don't know what voice pack this is, and I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, I have audio off, so I haven't been listening, but there's like
For the
just like
best.
different voices.
Are those the only options? Okay, I haven't really looked into it yet, so.
Yeah, I haven't either. I just play Miku with normal Link sounds. You're doing a chew setup here. Probably gonna just save after lighting these eyes in hopes that he can scum some of these chews away, but of course, finding the bomb bag, he's not gonna want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Xeno making his way into here, into Goron City. He can do the checks in the maze and possibly check the hints. Since he has bomb bag, there's very little risk involved. I'm not sure if he's gonna do that.
So we saw Deca peek the maze. I don't think there are any chests in there, but the hint could be relevant.
Yeah.
And yeah, I expect we'll see at least one of the hints here, if not both.
Yeah, so Xeno's just going for it. I think this is the correct play if you have like some replenishable explosives.
Of course, we get both Colossus hints.
Mm-hmm. But at least we know that long shot's not required for Spirit. Although I don't know what that offers us at this point. Oh my god, the screen is terrible.
The maze hint was the Colossus right hand, so we actually have both Colossus hands.
Oh, Decker, don't do this.
Such a tight angle there. Did not like that.
Oh my god. Is Decker gonna pick up his scale and bomb bag? I guess we are like pretty likely to see Xeno go through Lost Woods at least, and I was gonna say potentially River, but I imagine at this point you'd just save it for a child.
Yeah, I was gonna say I could imagine a child river play coming soon. Deca with some really efficient routing there. I like the hint stone after the drop down there. That's really good.
Xeno also going for this blue rupee.
Oh, it's a bomb refill.
Oh, it's okay. It's bomb.
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
actually pretty
for
good.
Xeno, it makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, no, Xeno, you don't make this. I like the stop at the end, just like that. I see the writing on the wall. Just stops moving for the last second and just waits it out.
So, what's the play? Well is open. Well is good.
Yeah, no, well is always pretty incredible. Every check is in logic.
Child Spirit, Child River, Domain, Valley, Lake. Like there's
Yeah.
quite a few things open. I think like Child Spirit and the Well are probably the big contenders here.
So Child looks incredibly strong at this point, yeah. And I think the thing that I would be most interested in here is going to Bottom of the Well and River. But the way you do that probably detours via Child Spirit. You play Requiem, do Child Spirit, and then go to play Nocturne or whatever to go to Bottom of the Well and then Child River.
Though if they wanted to do like the whole setting up time of day at Ganon's to do like Richard, Bombchu Bowling, Dompe on the way into the well, I think that makes perfect sense.
Oh, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, you do Bottom of the Well, then play Requiem. Now,
I'm
why
out
do
of
you...
the well.
Yeah. And then they don't have a good warp song for... Oh, actually,
You
Deca!
could do like Lake Domain River.
Deca hasn't picked up Requiem yet, so does actually... The Requiem check, I should say, sorry. Hasn't picked up Nocturne at Requiem. So,
Oh yeah.
doesn't have a good warp to get to Bottom of the Well without... Never mind, here it is. Cool. I was going to say, without resetting time of day. So, we'll see
I
that
think
here. That
based
helps
on
that
the
time of day planning.
hints, he probably has a good idea that he's gonna find Nocturne here.
Yeah, for sure. And if not Nocturne, then I don't know, Epona's over to Gerudo area or something, but
Yeah. Yeah, Xeno going towards Lost Woods, probably gonna pick up this other song. It is in Logic, so can be pretty important. If it's something
and
like
it's
Minuet, you're just like immediately paid out.
these paths as well, like you have to make your way over there. There's no world where you can't at this point.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think I'm definitely with you on the time of day for Richard Dampe to Bottom of the Well. I think you play Requiem out of there to do Child Spirit, and then the big question then is how do you get to River after that, assuming you found nothing at that point?
Mhm.
At which point I think you just cut your losses, you play Nocturne or you save quit or you play Prelude or whatever. You pick your method and you go.
Honestly, I would be a big fan of like Serenade and then diving through.
Oh, we have scale. Yeah, you're right. No, I forgot about the scale. Absolutely. Serenade to Domain to the river makes perfect sense.
Decker a
Decker?
little bit torn on whether he wants to set time of day here. Looks like he's not gonna opt to do that.
Ah, yeah.
Maybe looking towards some kind of like valley play? Or just not really caring about nighttime checks? Has Decker actually not checked pedestal yet?
That's spicy.
Yeah, you don't do that.
Not recommended, yeah, but I mean, he already knows what all of his remaining medallion dungeons are because of the past hints.
That's fair.
I still think it's bad because you don't know which one is Forest Medallion in particular. But
And like honestly, it can just help you parse some of the hints. Like if you find like a Din's path to Morpha, you've got to know that like, oh well, like this is gonna give me a dungeon reward. I mean, like you don't have to because there could just be an item in Shadow at that point, but
it's nice to
I
know
don't
that to be
this.
like, yeah. And of course, Meadow to Morpha is Song of Time.
Yeah, so could see like a river boss key.
Yeah. Not the most exciting of hints or whatever, but I mean, the seeds looked pretty linear so far, so having a little bit of open-endedness by the hints being weakened is nice.
And it looks like Xeno will be setting up time of day. So it's gonna net them a few more checks over Decker. Decker does have the time of day to check this fairy though, which is, I mean, it could be pretty nice. And I guess with like Prelude and Nocturne, you're not really too worried. Like you can always come back and check Dompe and Richard whenever. Like not really whenever, but like whenever it's night.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like that's a dangerous prospect because on the one hand, yeah, you can do it anytime you want. And on the other hand, well, you can do it anytime you want, so you can put it off for as long as you want.
This time of day here is pretty close anyway. But I don't like maybe you
Like,
check Boulder and
the
then
grotto
warp
and then
around.
prelude? Yeah.
I guess this works.
Oh, just went immediately in though. That's... I...
You're like 2 seconds away from Dompe.
Is this a chicken's play then? I
Maybe it's
guess,
chickens,
like...
yeah. Chickens exit, come back in for Dompe.
Because that's... Yeah, that was like so close, but...
Oh, something else to note. Xeno setting time of day to night here, he still hasn't done shooting gallery, which has
Oh my
strength.
god, the strength! Yeah, no, absolutely. That's huge. That's... Okay, it doesn't do much at this stage. Like, the strength doesn't mean much for Xena right now other than logic. But, there's a lot of things that could just show up and make that strength suddenly mean a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
Never mind. Never mind. Just funny game. Funny game. Jeez.
But now there's 2 strength.
So
Strength
double
2 is
strength.
way more useful than strength 1.
If Decker gets the time of day here and does actually prelude to Richard to go to Spirit, then that's potentially huge. But I was so ready to see another strength come out from Dante there. So ready for it.
So chicken's looking pretty dead. Getting pretty short on items here. If we're trying to follow that path, I could honestly just see it being Requiem for Nocturne, which...
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty reasonable at this point to think Requiem locks a lot of the seed.
Mm-hmm.
Because Requiem locks Nocturne, so that's already your 2 biggest dungeons, basically, locked by that.
Yeah, and like if with opponents on all dungeons, if like your long shot is anywhere in like Shadow, Spirit, like GTG, I guess not GTG, but like Shadow and Spirit, if long shot's anywhere in there,
And then, yeah,
you
one
would
of the stone
absolutely
dungeons locked behind it as well.
yeah. So then like you would absolutely need Requiem in that case logically.
Oh, we'll see them line up for a little bit for the bottom of the well play, which, I mean, this is what we were saying, right? This feels like the kind of the no-brainer play at this point. You have to do bottom of the well here.
Yeah.
Just one of the best dungeons, if not the best dungeon in the game. And yeah, it's mostly the question of how they got here, how they get out of here.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I think like if you're somebody who's looking to like cut out side dungeons, like maybe you could just go Child Spirit instead. But I think this play definitely makes the most sense at the moment, and you can just chain this into Child Spirit.
Mhm.
It's like Decker should be hitting 10 here. And Xeno, I think, will be 1 short. Or 2 short. So this should be 7, and then 8 on the tower.
Going for the chews over the slingshot as well. Not worried about that chew count anymore, but yeah. How much was Xeno at?
That's 7, this is gonna be 8, and that's the last one he can access.
Right, okay. Yeah. So Xeno's missing out on this right now. This could be a big deal. It is a big deal!
Wow, it's a big deal.
Oh, that's huge! Those 2 skulls short, that is very costly because, yeah, once you're in bottom of the well, you're not climbing back out. The only way you
No.
leave here is to warp, and at that point, the whole game is open again. You're not warping back to Kakariko for skulls.
Ooh, 2 big chests right off the bat. Another bomb bag.
Okay, so now we have our 2 bomb bags in logic that we knew
Yep.
would happen eventually.
And it is. Interesting. So we're magic away from beating Shadow.
That feels... and bow or long shot, but yeah.
Right, yeah, we have choose, so we can do it out of logic.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, at least logically. Also, logically, we can... Well, maybe not logically we can beat Spirit, but we have all the requirements to beat Spirit at this point, between the 2 runners.
Yeah, for sure.
Kak is still path to Queen Goma. I think it was, right?
Yeah, Kakariko is Morpha and Goma, and I assume like Morpha we know is going to be the hook shot. I would assume the Goma one is going to be Requiem.
I would assume so too. Yeah, either like 4 Nocturne or a Kokiri Sword in Spirit.
Right. Yeah.
So I think like none of the players could possibly know this yet, but I think your play is honestly just go climb up Child Spirit, make sure you get those Firelock checks, and then just go and do Adult Spirit once you have Strength 2.
Right. Yeah. And I think the big question here will be if the runners go back into Child Market to grab those isolated checks that we know both have strength before they try to go adult again with the items they've got here. I think that's more of a risk on Decker's side because of that hook shot. But, you know, that isn't me saying finding a hook shot is a bad thing. Like,
Yeah,
it's
like
still
the
a
thing
huge
is, like,
advantage. It just pushes you adult.
yeah, like Decker has stuff he can do as adult right now with the hookshot, which makes him want to go adult as quick as possible. I think with it being nighttime, Decker is probably more likely to find his strength than Xeno is to find theirs. Just because like they're both on nighttime, Xeno needs it to be daytime for their strength. So it's a little interesting. We got a save warp here from Decker, which is not usually
How many
something you see from the well.
keys did we see? He hasn't done Dead Hand yet, so I guess we saw
Oh.
2.
Yeah, I
I
guess he's
thought
trying
I
to
only
keep
saw
that in.
1. I guess was there one in the basement? I didn't really get
The basement,
to
I think,
peek
was
it
a
very
key.
well. Okay. Yeah, okay, there we are. So we'll just see them kind of cross over for their last handful of checks here, and then the big question is where they warp to. I do really want to see a Child Spirit play here, but the only thing really pointing you to that is Requiem.
I think that's enough, personally. So, I mean, at this point,
Yeah.
like, there wasn't anything else in CAC. You may as well just follow the Requiem and hope you find Kokiri's sword.
Right, it's like, you've not done 20 skulls, but you're not really gonna actively push for that. At least now. What you would do is go to Spirit and pick up skulls as you go through Spirit and figure out if it's Requiem or not.
Yeah. Child Spirit's like something you're probably gonna have to do anyway.
And there they both go, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'd be curious to see where they go from here. You know, we talked about River. Obviously, we're talking about them going back to market with our, you know, the insight that we have already. But there's a lot of incentive to go back adult at this point as well now.
Yeah, especially on Decker's side. Like, I think to push Xeno back to adult, they would either need to find that hook or the other strength.
Yeah, I think so. One strength not really doing much on Xeno's end yet.
Okay, got a small key.
I've seen people hit that slingshot aim like immediately without getting Stalfost on the way, like Xeno does as I talk. Oh, duh. All right, easy game, easy logic. Just
Yeah,
don't
this
worry
seed is
about
easy.
don't worry about Kakariko at all. 10 skulls and then you're done. The downside to that is we're out of hints.
Yeah, we have
All
no
of the
direction
path
anymore.
hints. Path hints are useless. There are like 5 items missing. Okay, there's like 3 items missing, but still.
So the question is going to be whether Decker goes to do Richard before doing Deku.
Right, because of the time of day. Yeah, that's true. Right, that works out nicely for Xeno, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That'll give them the time of day they need for the shooting gallery. But Decker's kind of got the opposite problem where it needs it to be night and it'll be exactly the wrong time of day for Richard. I also wonder when Xeno goes back to turn in 10 skulls. Because on the one hand, the Kakariko path means something else has to be there. But on the other hand, you've got 2 other checks that you can't do yet unless you get 20 skulls or above first.
Mm-hmm.
And like, do you ever wait to see if those turn up before? Sorry, seeing Xeno hit the switch from there was really nice. Also, welcome in Proton Raiders. Got a pretty... I want to say it's a pretty spicy seed so far.
Yeah, it just comes down to like a couple decisions right now.
Mm-hmm. Very transparent hints, which means they're already all fulfilled and now we have no information to work with, so... Good luck exploring. Enjoy your potential full clears, but... We're less than an hour in and it's already, you know, all hints fulfilled. And like, I think the most important thing here is that there isn't direction from the hints, but we have so many good plays available at every stage right now. Save
Yes,
quest?
this is the save warp for Deku.
Right, to do deck tree, sure.
So Decker's gonna be missing out on that strength from market.
Yeah, that is a very big deal. Which I guess isn't super costly right now, unless there's something further into Spirit. If first magic is in Spirit, or the first bow is in Spirit, or something along those lines, that's a big deal. Otherwise, it actually kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You can get that at any point, whenever you, I guess when you go back child would be a concern at this point, because when do you go back child at this point? But yeah, not the most costly right now. I mean, the same goes for Xenoh, although I do think Xenoh will get the shooting gallery after Deku.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I do think there's a world as well here where, after Deku Tree, Deku in particular, knowing that Richard is a risk, assuming that's on his mind, which I don't know if it will be. Like I was saying earlier, I don't think it's a huge risk, but if it is on his mind, he can do Child Lake into Domain, into River, and going through River is probably just about enough time of day.
Yeah. It makes sense if you're like thinking about wanting to do Richard. I think in Deku shoes I just wouldn't care.
Yeah,
But it's
I
hard to
don't think I
say.
would consider it at this point. It's not a massive threat at this stage.
You also kind of have to look at like the options available. I mean, I guess there's not really anything.
No.
He hasn't picked up Minuet Song, so he could like tie in a forest dip with that.
I always want to see the River play regardless. Domain and River is a lot of checks, even if Domain is, you know, fairly slow checks.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that it gives him like a good opportunity for Richard is just kind of an added bonus.
Yeah, exactly. Unless, of course, we get something good from...
Yeah, if this is magic, then you just
Never
go
mind.
with all. But it's not.
Yeah, nah, unless Deku Tree still has something to offer us, I think River almost ends up as your, I wouldn't say only option, but by far your best option, just on the grounds of density, number of checks, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, we're talking forest, dip, or... I don't even know what else. Yo, could we get Vanilla Bow? Oh, better yet, can we get magic and get Falling Ceiling Room Bow?
Oh my god.
I know for a fact me and Decker have had that come up before. We did a multi-world forever ago, 3 people, and the other person in that multi-world had their first logical bow in Falling Ceiling, with the other 2 locked behind it. And it's so unlikely to come up, let alone in a multi-world. But I know that Decker knows about that one. Not everyone does. Like, even in top 64, I would be stunned if everyone knew that little logic quirk. For those who don't know, there's a frozen eye switch in Forest Temple where you're meant to shoot an arrow through the torch to hit the eye. The eye doesn't actually care about you shooting it. All it cares about is that the ice is melted. So if you have Dins and magic, you can melt that ice and get down into the falling ceiling room. And so that chest down there can be your first bow. And, you know, in the, 4.5 years or so, 4.5, 5.5, how many years since S1 that I've been playing, I've seen it come up exactly once. So it's not exactly a common occurrence.
Yeah, I saw it come up in... Well, I saw a different one, actually, in, there was, like, a Plando where it was, like, dungeon entrance randomizer, so you could enter forest without hookshot, and your first hookshot ended up being on the island.
Oh. Right, go down to falling ceiling and then just, like, leave the room.
Mm-hmm.
So the big question here is going to be if they do market checks before they go adult. But I think we still have a little bit of time before they go adult because, yeah, we are seeing Deca go up towards Lost Woods, which...
So, Child Goron City? Like, Child Goron City into River Domain Lake?
Also didn't grab these grottos earlier. Right,
He
hasn't got the
hasn't been to
adult
Menu
song.
yet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. This almost has to be a river play at the very least after this.
Looks like Xenoh's gonna be making the same play. But with that post-Deku time of day, this could screw things up for Xenoh. I don't think Xenoh will let it screw things up for them. Like, they're probably gonna make sure that they're not out in the overworld for too long. Because they do need to get to that market for daytime.
Yeah, there is
But-
some level where, you know, we were saying earlier, we're not 100% sure that Deca will care about going back for Richard specifically. It's one check. Xenoh is kind of in the same boat, might not care about going back just for the shooting gallery. The difference being, Richard is very easy to miss in these settings. The shooting gallery, there's a very high chance that somebody gets it on the way through to their first adult trip.
Yeah. There's also always, I mean, I don't think this is the case, but there's always the chance that, like, when you skip child shooting gallery, you forget that you didn't do it.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Definitely been there, unfortunately. But there was a Hyrule Castle hint near Deku Tree, I think, right? Which Deca's already done, but Xenoh hasn't. So on the one hand, you know, it's one less reason for Xenoh to care about market checks, but on the other hand, that isn't going to lose that time going over there like Deca did. And I think that's a kind of really important distinction, actually. A lot of the time we talk about, you know, oh, someone's going to lose time doing this or gain time doing this or whatever. It's only lost time if it's something your opponent doesn't do. Child Goron City here having Furores and nothing else is irrelevant. All it means is they both have Furores to use because they are both doing it. They're both spending the time on this. Xenoh using the Chew despite having 30 bombs is interesting.
Yeah, it's slower and you probably want some shoes, but that's okay. Yeah, Decker is making this river play, so time of day is going to pass by very quickly. Post Deku, I think you get like around like 40 seconds or something until nighttime.
Hmm.
So he should hit night pretty easily here.
Yeah. And if anything, I think the concern is going to be there was nothing at the top of River, correct?
I didn't really look, but chat didn't freak out, so... Also,
Yeah,
Xeno
that
grabbing
is.
this chickens and 10 skulls, so we'll be grabbing that hook shot, which
Hmm.
is pretty huge.
Going back for that Kakariko pass makes sense. We'll do chickens first, which I almost wonder if you do this if you get the hook shot immediately, but I think you still do.
Yeah, Cac's double path, so
Mm.
makes sense that you would just do every single check.
Second, that's very costly.
Yeah,
Oh, I was gonna say, so if there's no item at the top, Decker can go up, do the river checks, and not worry about time of day. But abandoning the no, wait, resetting the
he
chicken
needs to
fishes.
respawn the chicken,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is one of those things I've noticed commentating both Decker's races. He has a tendency to like try to cut very small corners to save like microseconds, but in ways where like it could potentially be like pretty catastrophic.
I always think of it as like, and this is funny because I know Decker isn't this person, but I always think of it as the speedrunner mentality. Risking a minute to save 10 seconds kind of thing.
Hmm.
It's like, it's the kind of thing you do in a world record attempt where you can just reset if it goes wrong. It's not the kind of thing you do in a live race.
Is Xeno gonna be pretty happy about that hook shot?
And
Playing
is gonna play.
Serenade.
But this is probably a, as we were saying, childlike into domain. The issue here being, Xeno's gonna lose time of day with this. This could be costly.
Yeah, like in order to keep it daytime, you'd pretty much have to set Scarecrow and like immediately bail on Wake. But like when you're right beside checks, you really want to do them. If it's sometimes like if it ends up hitting nighttime here and then you go down river, I think you can get it back to daytime.
Maybe, yeah. Going back up river for the grotto as well, yeah, I think so. Oh, we've got a
Decker's
spiral
also
scarecrow on Xenos.
Decker's also doing these late checks, so it's about to hit daytime, which is
Yeah.
not what he wants at all.
And we still have no idea where Sunsong is in all of this. Not a lot of options left, but
Has to be. It doesn't have to be anyway.
yeah, we still don't have a burning Kakariko hint, I think. And then also 2 other song checks just sitting unchecked so far. I say sitting unchecked as though they have access to them. One is in Ice Cavern and one is behind shadows. So, yeah. 3 song checks left for Suns, but they can't do any of them. So Decker missing the first fish there is not ideal for him.
Yeah,
But,
at least he got a big fish to bite on the backup spot.
And I assume we'll see them both go into domain from here. There is the option on Decker's side, not having Lake anymore, you could go into field as well.
Yeah.
We haven't seen any field play whatsoever yet.
Yeah, if we see a field valley, that would get him back tonight. That's about all he has to do in this area at this point, really. I think it's maybe more likely that we see domain, but
Okay, well, we've got a clear C buttons versus, like, the C stick gamer match going here. one left, right scarecrows versus one spin the stick twice. I always think of it as the like screw pile driver because I used to play a lot of Street Fighter, and it's the Zangief SPD.
I have no idea what any of this. I'm gonna be
To
honest.
do Zangief's like pile driver, you spin twice and then grab, and he like grabs them, jumps, spins around in the air, and like plants them headfirst into the ground. But it's a double stick spin, so that's what I always think of that Scarecrow song as. I'm so stunned how little overlap there is between OOTR and fighting game communities. I'm always stunned by that. Like, in all the conversations I've had, I think it's just Kawari that's played the like big into fighting games. And Kral, I guess, but anyways. There could still be another strength available. That is a good point. Honestly.
Yeah, probably not.
I could see it behind one strength, but not behind two at this point. Because I feel like if it was behind two, yeah, you would have... Well, maybe you wouldn't have one hinted. It would still be just a one in... I mean, if the Goma one being Requiem was picked first, then it's a 1 in 3 left, presumably, depending on... Oh, God, Decker.
Yeah, the way he set up the strat was not the best way to set up the strat.
That's twice in 2 days that we've commentated races together on here, that someone's gone down to the last second on diving game and it's been that kind of clench moment.
Pretty spooky.
And Decker's out.
Like, yeah, he's gonna go adult.
Yeah.
So gonna be missing out on this strength. Whereas Xeno does have an opportunity after River to grab it, and probably will.
I think so. I just think Child Tune Gallery is seen as like a higher priority.
Yeah. Also pushing pretty hard for these 20 skulls. Which makes sense, like double path CAC. But you have already found 2 things there.
Right, yeah. And I know that's always been kind of a big contentious point in the community, right?
Yeah.
I think we're both very much on the side of like, okay, if your path hints are fulfilled, that's it. Your path hints are fulfilled. Don't worry about full clearing an area afterwards. Like, don't go out of your way to do slow checks when the hints have already completed themselves.
Mm-hmm.
There is definitely, and I know me and Decker have talked about this in a lot of depth before, and I would still love to see someone do a spoiler log analysis on this. There is a level where the more items something has, the more likely it is to get chosen on a path, at which point there is a level where, yes, you should clear a location more, but it probably isn't a full clear, and the question is where that factor is. Like, how much should you go out of your way for things? Is there a statistical analysis that would figure that out? Probably not. Also, nice.
No, I mean, like...
genocide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're never gonna get like a definite answer that's gonna tell you whether you should play one way or the other. It's always just gonna be like, well, this seed you should play this way, this seed you should play this other way.
I just want to note quickly, by the way, Xeno started back walking and then rolled forwards. That was a spooky moment for sure. So yeah, Xeno getting the strength 2 here will have pretty much like all of Spirit. Not quite every check in logic, but good enough. Yeah, that definitely gives Xeno the advantage where... Oh,
Hold. It happens. It happens to everybody, don't lie.
I think there were no... Oh my god. Xeno, this is... I will say again, we kind of touched on this earlier, but Decker's done a few tournaments, has more experience. Zeno's done a lot of smaller tournaments, but this is their first time in a major, you know, one of the big tournaments. There is always going to be some factor of tournament nerves, no matter who you are. But the more you play, the more you get used to playing around them. So, I don't know if that 100% is the case, but it absolutely wouldn't surprise me if it was. And, like, honestly, I'm pretty stunned anytime I see somebody in their first tournament who doesn't, you know, show a few signs of pressure.
Yeah. Oh.
Is that...
Okay.
That's huge!
That's long shot, and it's almost nighttime. So,
Oh my
like,
God.
things swung to Xeno. Like, we were like, okay, Xeno's probably in the lead now. Things have just swung right back to Deck.
It's funny, we were saying earlier, like, oh, you have field as an option, and then Decker went through to domain. It was like, okay, never mind, I guess not. And then, yeah, okay, so...
Oh, Decker is adult, yeah. My apologies. So, yeah.
But that's still a big... Also, field grottos. Field grottos are so good.
So this probably carries through to GTG, if anything.
One to 64 is like... Oh, that's... Okay, well, not relevant, but... Yeah. Yeah, the gap in the seeds, like... I don't know how... I can only just think of to describe this in football terms, but that doesn't help if it's not somebody who follows... like, European football, I guess, more specifically, because I think the leagues are different for soccer, quote-unquote. I guess for the football fans, I would say the difference in like 1 to 64 is like the entire Premier League, like top to bottom. So the top ones will almost like are pretty heavily favoured against the bottom ones, but then there's still the potential for an upset, and the jump below that gets far bigger or far greater.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we call Anju when that name's just from Majora's Mask, but everyone else is just named by comparison? I just saw it in the chat and like, I do the same thing. It's Grog in MM, yeah, but in this, no, like nobody has names in OOT, but he's Grog in MM, but he's not, he's just the creepy cuckoo guy in this.
He is creepy though.
He's nice in MM, at least. But in this, he's, yeah, no. I did not realize the big Goron sword on the Miku model became a mic stand, by the way. I didn't know it went from the leak to the mic stand. I've somehow not seen that one before.
Yeah, I've played with the model a fair bit. Definitely seen that one. Spirit so far hasn't had anything. Looks like we're just getting a Nehru's love here in the adult climb, but still lots of Spirit to go. At this point, I guess it's going to be interesting to see if anything's in Forest that can swing this over to Decker.
Right, because we're
Yeah,
probably going
like
to see him dip Forest, yeah.
at this rate, like Xenoh's running away with this a little bit.
I don't know, that long shot is always an interesting
Yeah.
one as well. Because the field grottos have been kind of isolated from Xenoh's side, having already done Domain, Scarecrow, that kind of thing. Unless they very specifically go to set Scarecrow as adult, which... Why would you at this point? Like, what does Scarecrow do at this stage?
Yeah, that's fair.
You get the lake checks, but that's about it? Why are you doing lake to field specifically at this stage? Obviously, if you have the long shot, you have a reason to do lake to field, because you can follow that over to Gerudo Fortress afterwards, but the long shot being in shield makes it a lot harder to make that play.
A bow.
Oh, wow. Oh. So unless there is a bow here in Forest as well, Decker could be in a bit of trouble. Xenoh gonna gain some extra time back by not having to double dip Forest?
Well, he never has to go Forest, so...
Oh, right, stone. Oh my god. Sorry, catching the intricacy today. I've headline blindness. The fact that all the fortresses open, like, that's such a big play for Decker to have available now out of this. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Requiem reverse.
Yeah.
But not having strength 2 makes it so much weaker. Oh no, Xenoh's gonna get
Not having
bullied
bow
by
as
these slugs now.
well.
Right, yeah. God, if you miss the torch slug, like, through the fire there, they will bully you in that room.
Oh yeah, they'll beat your ass. It's crazy. Those things are vicious.
Oh. I know Decker has an odd controller setup. It looks like just missing the kind of angles there to somehow rolling forwards instead of across.
I'm just
Can I
gonna
grab that
play
ladder?
Bizhawk every time.
No, because Bizhawk is fine for that kind of thing. You've seen countless runners do that on Bizhawk. That situation, that's definitely playing with like a PlayStation style controller.
Oh.
No analog gates. Like that's a problem.
I still blame Bizhawk.
Bizhawk gets a bad rap. It's not good, but it's nowhere near as bad as people say it is. Bizhawk is just as good or bad as RetroArch. Change my mind. Alright, okay, I didn't realize that was such a hot take, but I guess so.
What the hell were you thinking?
Damn. I hate RetroArch, to be fair. I said this before, I was like, Bizhawk takes more time to, like, you have to really get into the depths of BizHawk's settings to make it like work the way you need to. And if BizHawk is having issues, it's that you're probably not set up properly. With the RetroArch, it's easier to set up properly in a getting the settings right way, but like navigating RetroArch menus makes it so that you'll never find the setting you need to change to make it work.
Yeah, BizHawk, it takes longer to play every seed.
Well, okay, both are bad. Like, don't get me wrong, both of them are bad, and if you're playing on emulator at this point, it should probably be Project 64, honestly. But
I do like
yeah.
PJ64. It's very nice. Okay, so we're getting a prelude out of Decker here. It is nighttime. Things are set up for Decker to go and get that other strength.
Yeah, it looks like it's happening. That's really interesting to me, though, with... I know it's a bad grid... Oh.
No.
Pedestal?
Maybe grabbing the
Just check
skull.
No. I was hoping it would be a pedestal check.
Like, maybe he wants the skull. Maybe he's thinking about 20 still or something.
Yeah, that's a fair point, actually. Yeah. And... No,
Or
okay, it's
Pyrofield.
gonna be... I think it's a Gerudo Fortress play.
That's...
I think having the long shot going over to Fortress isn't unreasonable here, but like...
And like Song of
God.
Time is Path and...
Yeah. But it's just so... It feels so bad going over there with no strength 2, no bow. Yeah, I definitely assumed we would see Requiem reverse, but this at least does get another check on. Was that just? Was that? I thought that was letter. I didn't
I
realize
thought that
that's
was
just a
letter
normal.
too, but we're just gonna pretend that doesn't exist for now.
What? What just happened? Did that just happen?
Oh, like what? What's he supposed to do about it?
That's so scary, though. Oh my god.
It's there. We'll worry about it later.
Oh, that's such a concern, though. Oh god.
It's not a concern yet. It's fine. Everybody calm down.
Xenoh, by the way, reversing to an out of logic Gerudo Fortress from their perspective.
That's definitely interesting. You don't have Rang, you don't have Longshot, you don't have Letter, you don't have Hammer. Like, there's literally nothing pointing you towards all dungeons at this point.
It's about as far out of
Skulls.
logic as this could be for them, but...
I mean, Longshot, like, does put it in logic by itself, and that could
Right.
literally just be sitting anywhere.
Was that
That's a gold scale.
I think that was gold scale. Oh my god.
So, Decker is gonna leave, come back. Like, probably... What do you even do? Just, like, drop a save. No, you can't even drop a save, because... I guess he's just gonna grab it on the way out of GTG. That makes sense.
Yeah, because you can only do a handful of checks here anyways. So you go in, you do your kind of right side first, probably. Actually, no, I think I should just go through normally. Oh, you can't go through normally because you can't hit the eye switch. So yeah, right side first. And then after you've gone back through, you you just grab your scale with the hover if you can, and did Decker learn the hover, do you know?
He has long shot, so it's okay.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll go for the hover though, because we both said it already. Deca has a habit of going for the strats that save a lot of time if you get them, but lose a lot of time if you miss them.
Yeah, I honestly think he'll go for the long shot. I don't think he has practiced the box with hover boots, but I can't really say for sure.
Yeah, I think he definitely plays very aggressively in terms of strats overall. You know, stuff like just cutting corners where he doesn't need to, like in River earlier, dropping the chicken. But I think typically he's got a very good sense of like, if I know a strat or like how well he knows a strat and whether it's worth going for it, essentially, based on that.
Big chest. This could be magic. And it is.
How... Actually, you know what? We discussed this yesterday where we were saying it sounded like we both had a spoiler log, and you've just done this there. And it's come up in the chat already. I do think one of the things that comes up very regularly is the more seeds you play, the more of a grasp you get of what could be where based on... There are only so many permutations of the logic. Oh my god!
Oh my god, he's bailed out.
If this is a bow! If this is a bow!
Even if it's lights, like, he just goes wherever. It's irons. He needs.
So he goes and beats water after, which Xenoh can't do.
Like, he can go beat Spirit. A bow is in Spirit. He can beat Shadow at this point. He can beat water once he has the bow. He just needs lights. He's lights from Go mode.
Assuming he goes to Spirit next after water, yeah. And like,
he could even just do Shadow. Like, there could be another bow in Shadow for all we know.
And like, why wouldn't you just push your dungeons at this point?
Yeah.
That could just hit.
I would just drop it. I would drop it and go. Like, you have Spirit Shadow to do. Just leave.
No, the bow. If the bow's here, you're gonna feel so bad going back and forth, and having the for Shadow is good as well. Like. Okay,
he's out. He's not even dropping floors. He's out.
Sorry. I guess to finish the point I was making before we got, you know, slightly sidetracked by a surprise strength upgrade. I do think you start to see there's only so many permutations of the logic, and I think people find those things that after a point become instinctive. And like, I think the biggest skills in terms of the top runners is firstly having that experience. There are players like Ecola comes to mind as somebody who's just played a relentless number of seeds, like an absolutely astonishing number of races, will have a very good idea of this is probably how the seed is going to play out, and so I'm going to play towards that. And then the next step beyond that is knowing when to trust those instincts and when to trust your like conscious logic more.
Yeah, for me, I just said magic because I wanted to see magic.
I am. I don't see how Xenoh ever gets this long shot from here.
It's interesting because he's gonna go Shadow after this. You've already done GTG. I guess like Field still exists, so like.
I was gonna say like, if you got nothing here, then maybe, just maybe, you drop down and you go into Field from Lake there. If you go try and hover to the gold scale, whether you get it or not, you can jump down from there. But yeah, no, Xenoh's gonna go and do Shadow, and then I assume Prelude to go and do OGC at some point within that, and then what?
I don't know. Also, was center chest was center maze a big chest?
Center was
I
big,
saw a big chest. I don't understand Decker's decision to not at least drop Roars in here. Like, maybe it's because he just found the magic, like, didn't think about it.
I like this. You've got so much of the game open. If it is... obviously, I like clearing the checks that you're next to. Like, I think going one room forwards is fine. Having furrows for Spirit and Shadow does help with routing. Spirit less so. Shadow obviously has the Skull Pot room, which is the big one that people always think of. But it can play out with your Spirit routing as well, depending on where you get your keys, where your boss key is, that kind of thing. I guess less so for Decker because he's already done the fire checks as child, but...
Yeah. As far as like Shadow goes, like you have a buttload to choose. I think, like, I don't really think Shadow Pot's a huge consideration as far as like Furor's Wind usage and like thinking about having to come back to GTG potentially when you see a big chest like right in front of you.
I can definitely, I can see the merits on both. Yeah, I think I would have bailed there, honestly. I think there's too much of the game left for lights, but I think I would have just bailed, but I think it's really close. This is going to be a really fun interview if we get them in for this one. So yeah, Decker finding that bow there. We are just missing light arrows, which Decker is just going to go and grab a hint for. He is not going to wait around and worry about where they might be now. I say that, obviously we just had a long conversation worrying about where they might be. There are still some considerations there, but for the most part, you just play for your hints.
Yep.
And I think, I can't say every top runner will do this, but at least all of the ones I have spoken to, you just grab the light arrow hint every time. The odds of you going out of your way when you're in glow mode for extra checks, when you can just get the hint, are like, it takes some very, very fringe scenarios. I also want to just say, because we had that little conversation about Furor's Wind, I've said it before, I think that is the most skill testing item in the game. I think good Furor's Wind usage is the... Oh, that's vanilla.
Look at that, look at that. I would have won.
It's vanilla. It's so good.
Yeah, that is actually really good. Oh wait, that was yellow, or that was blue, I thought that was yellow.
Yeah, I think Furor's Wind is like the most skill testing item in the game. I think it's genuinely the item that separates the top of the top runners from like the high to mid tier runners the most.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we're seeing a toilet play.
Oh?
I would not recommend toilet play, but get a little messy. I'm gonna stop.
Said about Furor's being the most skill testing item, but I'm trying to think what else is skill testing now. And other than like bomb chews and, in a weird way, some of the songs, there isn't really a lot else.
Hover boots are kind of interesting, but it's more so like I don't know, like save a second here, save a second there.
Yeah, have you learned all these various hover boot strats that can play in? Yeah. Yeah,
which like if you ever want to improve your hover boots gameplay, just go watch a Mr. Mario stream.
Oh my god. Absurd. Actually absurd. Watching Mario play through Ice Cavern with hover boots is still disgusting. Because it's not just Ice Cavern itself, it's getting in and out of ice. It's so smooth.
God, I'll watch Mario like walk through Goron City with hover boots and I'm like, holy shit. This guy's cracked.
Right, I didn't even consider, but yeah, coming up in chat here, not only has Decker got the advantage now in the long shot, but if, say, Xeno ends up going to field, finds the long shot and goes, oh, glow mode, I'm gonna go and do water temple and get my hint. And then the hint is ice cavern?
Mm-hmm. Decker still has the advantage in that case.
Yeah, Decker's the only one who knows about the letter.
If it was letter, which I'm pretty sure...
I
It looked like there was a letter in there, in that bottle.
We both said it, and pretty much all of chat said it. There wasn't anyone who said otherwise. Like, I think it almost has to be.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident about it, personally, so...
So here is the biggest... I guess we won't see the time difference just yet. We can see the time difference as Xeno and as they both enter Shadow, I suppose. But
Yeah, the advantage here being, of course, that Decker has long shot, whereas Xeno doesn't. So, like, Decker has closed this lead, basically, but also is an item up.
yeah. Okay. Xeno Shadow faded in at 1:36:20. So that time difference, the time difference from entering Shadow is how long Xeno has to find the long shot and go to water.
Yeah.
Essentially. And it looks like we are, we're talking a minute.
Yeah, like...
A little over a minute. Like...
Which is not, like, you're not going to run straight to that grotto. If you're doing that grotto, you're probably doing lake and everything in between. Like, at this point, you're probably looking at, like, from exiting Shadow, you have a minute to get to that grotto before you're losing time.
Yeah, we're looking at, is this pretty much 50 seconds? 50... Okay, 52 seconds. You have 52 seconds to get that grotto and Serenade. Like, not just get the grotto. You have to, presumably, play Serenade, at which point they're gonna set Scarecrow, do fishing, do top of lab, then go out to field, get the long shot, and then you play Serenade again to go back in. And
of course, that's just like a prediction based on where they are right now in the seed. Like, that's barring any like shadow execution differences or anything like that.
If any dungeon can really skew a time difference on execution, it's Shadow. One mistake in Shadow and you void out and lose 20, 30 plus seconds.
Actually, since we like kept note of their difference entering Shadow, I think it is going to be interesting to take a look at their time difference after Shadow and just see.
Yeah, for sure. I like checking both. Honestly, I like seeing the time differences in a lot of these places, but and also, it gives us something to talk about while both runs are in Shadow. Because I know Double Forest gets a lot of stick, but Double Shadow is up there with it. I forget Decker's save
warp
quits out of
strats.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, he learned this from Zephyr.
Oh.
I told him to stop talking to that guy. He's a bad influence.
Is it better or worse on an emulator though? I actually don't know.
I think it's exactly the same.
I know we had conversations with Alex, who, is obviously the other team member in this whole unit here, regardless of which of us is in the team. Alex sets Fro's wind at the entrance of Shadow.
Yeah, these guys have bad shadow habits.
And I yelled at him for that one, and I told Alex I don't like it, and it's about the same amount of time again. But Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Just walk out. Just learn your movement around the room.
Yeah, xenoh playing the game like a normal human being.
Walking out of dead hand, yeah.
Big props.
Also, yeah, since it came up in chat here, as you were saying about setting furrows in GTG in case of lights, I don't think I would have. I 100% clear out the back of shadow every time. Because... Okay, actually, maybe at this point you set furrows. Although, with water to go, I think you just clear it. Because I think furrows to go up to the morpher room, like setting furrows at the start of water, is so powerful.
That's a big one, especially in go mode. Like, if you're not in go mode, like maybe like, oh, I have to walk around water and do like a couple extra checks. I think that's like perfectly fine. But when you're in glow mode, like you probably just want to dump furrows at the top and yeah, not have to change the water levels and stuff like that. It can save you a ton of time.
I like the FW strat to skip at the start. That's the equivalent to the old strat used to be that you skipped the first silver rupee room. So back before we had the chest size matching contents, you would skip the first silver rupee room because if you get the silver rupees in the second, like not the second, I guess this is the second one that Xeno's in now, in the third silver rupee room of Shadow, with the redeads, if you grab the silver rupees in that room, it opens the first silver rupee room's gate. So you would skip the first room to see if you could beat Shadow, and then just go back in and open the chest afterwards.
Yeah, this game is so stupid. With like the flags and stuff, it makes no sense.
I do kind of, like I've said before, I do think chest size matches contents opens up as many strats as it closes, or like vice versa. For the most part, I think there's more strats now. Oh, Xeno! We did talk about the potential for a void out. But yeah. But yeah, I do think for the most part there's more strats with chest size matching contents than without. But that's definitely one of the ones I missed. That was a fun, weird strat that you didn't see very often, but when you did and when it worked, oh my god.
It's a funny quirk, for sure.
It was definitely like a weekly restream play. Every so often you would have a runner on restream who would just be like, I'm gonna do this for stream value, let's go. I'm curious to see how that void out plays into the time difference. We were at what was it? Did we say 52 seconds?
Yeah, so we could check the time at like the last silver rupee or something.
Oh, just I was thinking at the blue warp, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean we could check like a midpoint and then see how they're doing it.
I didn't see the time on the silver rupees, so...
It's like 1:43:25, I think. Okay, well we can't do that because he's getting the silver rupees before killing the redeads.
Yeah, okay, never mind. I mean, that is how I always do that room, but yeah. And we can't even do it for leaving the skull pot room because of the FW, so I guess it's entering this next room. Okay. No light arrows yet, no sign of lights in the spirit, shadow. We still have water to think about, but you're not really gonna think about water.
Yeah, probably not in water. Decker going for the quick spin strat, but you have to get a quick spin to do it.
Xeno also using iron boots through this room, so I think Decker's probably going to save some time on this one because yeah, setting up the angle there. Oh,
Ooh.
I don't know. I guess lined up too far to the right, but
Yeah, it looks like he's gonna be
doesn't
fine,
matter.
though.
Still saved it. Yeah, that's impressive. And so yeah, now we're down to almost nothing. It's
Yeah, 30
this
seconds
re-head room.
entering the wind room, and probably saved about like 5 seconds in there.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not that much, but at least a little bit.
A few for sure. The spike would have interfered a bit, but
Regardless, at the start of Shadow, we already didn't have enough time to check that grotto before Xeno would be
right,
losing
yeah.
time, and the time difference is only getting smaller.
For sure. I do feel bad saying this. I will like. I haven't seen enough of Xeno's races to know what their strengths and weaknesses are as a player. I've been friends with Decker for like 8 years. I know Decker's strengths and weaknesses. I have maintained that if Decker had more time to put into this game, he would be a top runner in weeks. His execution and his instincts for the game are so good, and he just has like no free time. So every so often you see these glimmers of spectacular execution. I'm like, this is really good. This is so strong. Like, he could be a top player. And then he does something that just throws time. And it's frustrating to watch at times, but I think this seed we've seen both sides of that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess also like talking about this item difference, I guess like a way for things to swing back to Xeno is if strength 3 is required.
True, yeah. That's actually a very good point. Or if it's just... Actually, I was going to say if it's just an item hunt for, you know, hammer, lights in fire. But then the difference there would be that Decker has more available to look for the hammer with by knowing about the Russo's letter.
It could be like AD locked in Fortress. That would give an edge to Decker. We do have a big chest in the spike wall room.
No?
Another
No,
bow.
of course.
So whether you went Shadow or Spirit, you get a bow.
I was so tempted to, as Xeno's going to the floor master, be like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go see Greg now, right? That's the name of the floor master, isn't it?"
I thought it was Jeremy. Isn't the community calling this guy Jeremy?
Something like that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how that works.
Bartholomew. Hey, it's the dentist.
Can't believe we're off to check Job Dwarf. I don't know how much overlap there is on these randomizers. So for those who don't know, that's an FF4 Free Enterprise reference. I feel like there's probably not a lot of overlap on OOT and FF4 players typically.
There's actually, I mean, like, you got Kryle, Cubs. Yeah.
That's about it. I'd look at this like, oh, if Decker hadn't bonked, that was synchronized.
You suck. I don't know, maybe by the end of Bongo they'll be synced up.
Yeah, and I mean, sure enough, you know, this is not a 52-second gap. That void obviously costing Xeno, which I don't know. There are a lot of good runners who I still see missing that platform, like absolutely no. And to be honest, there's been a period of time where we would call out Decker for missing that platform in the past. So
Yeah, I think Decker now knows like the lineup where no matter where the platform is in its cycle, you will always hit the platform. Like there's a line you can follow and you will always hit the platform no
it
matter what.
I don't think it's 100% consistent. I think it depends on how you move through the room. But I think it's like 90% consistent, and also you're always moving through the room the same way, so you will always hit that part of the cycle.
This is a no babies allowed shadow.
Lens actually. Oh,
Oh, he's leaving.
Decker?
Decker, you might need that.
I was gonna say this means that if it's strength 3 required, then Decker has like an
Oh, chess
incentive
mini
to
game's
go.
dead. It's fine.
Oh, it was hinted. It was hinted.
Yeah.
Never mind. You're all good. You're all good. Glad at least some people are keeping up with this.
So Xeno gonna be grabbing this song. Minuet, maybe?
Makes sense. Makes sense. We don't quite know what it is yet, but Bolero.
Bolero? Okay. Minuet would have been, I mean, bad for Xeno, but
I was going to say there are still 2 hints we're missing. If we're talking about fun light arrow locations, so we're missing a sometimes hint. We're still missing a skull mask hint.
that's true. Yeah.
And as far as I can tell, like we're missing one sometimes
Oh,
one, and then
there's
skull
Minuet.
mask. That's it.
Minuet's gonna be really bad for Xeno here, by the way. Like, I think you just do Forest.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So this is gonna be some time lost, unless lights are in here. If you're a Xeno fan, like, you really want to see light arrows in here. Decker has already done the courtyard, so we won't see it there, which means it will be at least relatively deep if it is here. But,
And if not lights, you know, hammer leading to lights or something on those lines. Like,
yeah.
really looking for some kind of chain where forest is the first step.
I guess, yeah, if Xeno opts for a full clear, like, you definitely want to see light arrows on AD. But like, the chances aren't great. It's more likely to be like strength 3 locked than anywhere AD locked at this point.
I guess what you're hoping for there is like both, right?
Yeah.
Given that Decker had the advantage already and now Zeno's also doing forest, I guess what you're hoping for is like a hammer behind strength 3 and also lights on opponents and then behind opponents, and that way all of forest is still relevant and you need the strength 3 for the hammer to go and beat fire.
Yeah, I agree.
Decker didn't put on the hovers before jumping down.
Yeah, I think it was a key, so you should be able to just find another one. It's okay. But...
yeah. Just put on the hovers. He definitely equipped the hovers halfway through, so...
He did, yeah.
I think he definitely intended to get that chest. I didn't see what it was, but he definitely intended to get it.
He was trying to get it, yeah. Oh, boss
He
key.
lined up
Okay.
the angle and then just put on the hovers like a step late. Okay. He's fine. Not a concern. Unless it was a large chest and it was lights, but I don't think it was. Oh, I think someone would have seen it.
So yeah, we're off to get that light arrow hint. We're gonna get our answers pretty soon. Or possibly more questions.
I suspect it'll just be fairly linear. Whether that means Ice Cavern, Ganon's Castle, Ganon's Castle would be a terrible thing for Decker to see, actually. But yeah, whether it's, you know, just some other check somewhere that hasn't been done yet, I think there's a very good chance here that it's just pretty open for Decker. It could just be Forest.
Yep.
And yeah, like, obviously if you're rooting for Xeno here, you're wanting to see Gerudo Fortress. That's the #1 stop. You know, if it's Market, you can get a big Poe without getting a Pona. You want to see Gerudo Fortress if you're rooting for Xeno here. If you're rooting for Decker, I don't think you need much at this stage. But the absolute best thing you would see would be a Ganon's Tower, because then he just gets them on the way up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Xeno has like some other options than Fortress. Like obviously there's OGC, Mike.
That was a fast. I did not even see that item spawn.
I didn't either. He's looking at a bigger screen than us, so it's probably a lot more clear for him.
And only watching one feed. Castle is still a 50-50 for what it's worth, but yeah, obviously that 50-50 can go against Decker there.
Yeah, whereas AD, like Decker already has more AD items than Xeno. It's just like the strength 3 could lead to the hammer, which is
right. I think that's the big thing is then.
And like if Decker needs items, there's always the chance he goes back to GTG for that big chest and whatever he left there that was bow locked. Like I think it's just going to make for a double dip back to GTG, which could be bad for him. Like that's just time spent.
I think that's exactly it. It's like Xeno is losing time right now. Forest, as far as we know, is not required. The long shot is just sat in field doing nothing. Decker is like ahead at this point. If it ends up being all dungeons, Decker has that potential to then lose that time again. And we'll also presumably double dip Ganon's Castle at that point, because I think the first thing you do would be clear out all of Ganon's that you can. But then you'll have to come back in later with Strength 3 to check Light Trial. Yeah, I still think Gerudo Fortress is better for Xeno than Ganon's Castle, but the castle is obviously a pretty good one as well, potentially. Obviously, outside Ganon's Castle is huge for Xeno still. And as much as it's weird to say it right now, Forest Temple would be a bad hit for Xeno. Because Decker will bail as soon as lights show up, whereas Xeno will full clear at this point. But also nothing in Forest yet. Nothing at all to concern themselves with at this stage.
Yep.
Also, we're sub 2. We're sub 2 getting the light arrow hint here. This is a... I didn't even realize.
Yeah, this is a fast one.
This is going quickly. Or I guess
these aren't like your usual. It's not like your usual Jet Sea dungeons. Like Spirit and Shadow are both in there. Forest is out, which is fine. But like usually you get like a fire and a water with like an early boss key, and then like stone dungeons.
It feels longer than it's been.
Yeah. Between the two runners, they've done a lot. Oh, Mike. This could be interesting.
Damn, Mike Wazowski strikes again. So there is a 50-50 at this point for Decker to find this. And otherwise we're on the strength hunt, which, you know, we know. Xeno knows. But Decker has to make the play to go back to Richard? That's not a play you make at this point.
Yeah, if golds are required. We don't know, but
Yeah, I mean, now it's a lot less than a 50-50.
yeah, it's looking a lot.
Now it's
Very
like a
likely.
1 in 3.
Oh boy.
This is tense.
Yeah.
We have.
Oh.
Oh no, Decker! Every moment right now is gonna feel so bad as well, because obviously Decker knows this could be a jet seed. He's played it as a jet seed, so every moment is gonna feel so tense right now.
Yeah, it's funny because like you could think like, oh yeah, like going to field was a big deal and like Xeno probably didn't do that, which is totally fair, but what he doesn't know is that the other strength is sitting in a very easy location.
Right, yeah. And it's yeah, very easy for the field one to get missed, so it doesn't feel bad at this point, but yeah, when he finds that strength, it then will feel terrible, assuming of course
Yeah.
he needs the strength from here. Which, yeah, 2 checks left.
Pretty spooky. Oh yeah, we love emulator spirit trial.
Yeah, that one I will give as a downside.
Next frame, please.
Alright. Down to the 1 in 8.
Uh-oh.
1 in 9 even. I can't count light trial checks. Nope. Alright,
Yeah.
we have a race.
Yep, it's back on. So Decker is gonna go back to GTG immediately. He's seen a big chest there. There's tons of stuff that's bow locked.
For sure, yeah.
We know he's not gonna find his strength 3 there. So this is all just time thrown right back to Xeno.
And then he has the potential for Ruto's letter into Ice Cavern, which is potentially big. Which also, as a side note, if Zeno goes to do field now and does that first, plays Prelude and goes from that side, finds Ruto's letter in the Texite Grotto, might just bail and go to ice immediately. So that long shot could get stranded even further, depending on where Zeno goes to field from. The sub 2 light arrow hint, this could turn into a 3-hour race easily at this point still.
Oh my god, I hate this scream. It's so annoying. This is a big chest. Hammer?
Oh my god.
Okay, it's interesting.
That's more potential to draw you away.
Like, oh my god, imagine thinking like, oh, what if it's AD for strength 3 on HBA?
Oh no.
Just kind of like, I'd imagine he's like imagining the worst case scenario right now.
You always do, right? There's always that part of you that's gonna think of the worst case, and again, one of the skills that a lot of top runners have is knowing when to just push that to the side and be like, no, let's just play the normal seed the way it is, and when to see, okay, no, this is bad, we're going to play as though it's bad. And again, it's something that you get a pretty good read on. I think typically you just want to play You just want to play density, you just want to play your progression, you just want to not worry about your worst case scenarios. The problem
Yeah.
is your density at this point sure as hell is not child market.
Yeah. Yeah, like I could totally understand going to Fire Temple here just because it's like one of your most check dense locations available right now. If you
Yeah.
don't find anything there, then you just grab Letter and set up to do Jabu at that point because you've already invested all your time into Fire.
Right. I think
then like
forest,
it's
fire, and ice are likely. And if you've already done
yeah,
forest and fire, Jabu is then also reasonable along the way. So
it's
yeah,
just kind
this
of like will you turn in Letter when you go Child to or like will you check
grab
Richard
Rich on
when
the
you
way.
go
Yeah.
to turn in Letter?
Yeah, I actually okay, so I guess that would be Decker's big option here is if he's pushing towards ice before forest and fire, then he turns in the letter, he probably picks up Richard along the way, assuming we mentioned earlier with the shooting gallery on Zeno's side when he was still missing strength there. But it's the kind of thing that you might just think you've done and forget about. But if you go to do ice first, you go child to turn in the letter, and at that point, you check Richard. If you do forest and fire first, then, you know, those are two very slow dungeons that you're sinking a lot of time into. There are so many points in this race that both runners will look back on as, like, whoever comes out of this ahead, the other runner is going to be looking at this going, have I done this differently? Have I done this differently? Like, it's so difficult to get those kind of perspectives right, I think. Knowing where you have to kind of learning from your mistakes is good, but you have to recognize where the mistakes are to begin with. And it's so easy to get caught up on, oh, this worked badly for me, even when it was the right play.
It looks like we're gonna get the 20 skull turn in here.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, like, Xeno hasn't touched Valley at all. It's possible we see him just go Child and do, like, Field into... I mean, I guess he can do Valley as adults, so maybe, like, you just do Field into Valley.
Yeah. Because Xeno bailed from the Garuda training grounds?
He could also, like, just dip water here, which I think is not a bad play.
Yeah, no, I always like the water dip if it's required. Just go in, get your boss key, and then you can leave. And if, as I said in chat, if Zeno does still have the frozen GTG, which honestly, I have lost. I didn't use it in Shadow, so yeah, I assume it is there. But if Zeno goes to dip water, gets the boss key, can then go back up towards the training grounds to go and check Valley from there. And that's actually a pretty good route to then end up in field on Zeno's side. A lot better than getting there via the market, for sure, because that might just take you to ice.
Yeah.
Prelude is...
Prelude, that's...
That could be market. I don't think it's child. There's nothing to do as child.
Yes, that's gonna give him the letter and probably drag him to ice.
That's a spooky one. It's just
OGC
a question of failing
well.
or not, yeah. This is right, this is the Ganon's Castle play, yeah, for sure. Makes sense.
But we know this is gonna have nothing in it.
Yeah. seen everything at this point, pretty much.
There's the ice arrows for Decker. So it's probably a little
Oh, just a reset
frazzled.
out. Where was the save?
Right out, or like right at the entrance. So I think this is like going to grab the gold scale and then going to waterfall, or probably not even
Okay,
gold
it
scale
was
because
in here then. I was gonna say,
oh,
didn't
Twilight.
save in there, so... Oh, not at the end, yeah. But...
So we've got Serenade, which makes sense.
So this, I assume, is the water dip we were talking about?
Should be. Which makes sense. Like, up to the boss key, at least, it's progression. Like, you're gonna be doing this anyway, so may as well do it looking for long shot.
Yeah, I think the big question here is what Xeno does to get out of water, because you've got 3 options. Save, quit, leave, do lake into field. Feror's back to training grounds to go down into valley. Or play another warp song out and go to dip fire, go to I guess the training grounds one could also go to wasteland, which, you know, could lead to that hammer and a whole other item hunt. Decker's gonna die? No, okay, has the tunic, remembers that he has the tunic, which honestly, not everyone does. Oh, and no.
Yeah, we've got a prelude.
Oh?
And it's nighttime. And he's going child.
Oh?
Oh, he's grabbing Minuet. I forgot that this was here.
Oh no.
And he's playing Minuet.
Nocturne?
Oh, Nocturne.
The other song, right?
Turning in
He's gonna grab Bolero. He's
yeah,
picking up the other, yeah.
That's fair, that's fair.
Oh, that's so... I feel like Xeno hasn't missed anything too big other than, you know, earlier there was the shooting gallery put off for a long time. Missing the field grotto isn't unreasonable at this point. But if Xeno, like, warps out of water and goes to do the wasteland chest and it goes to fire, at that point, like, yeah, then I'm like, okay, now we're into pretty deep territory.
Yeah. So this is gonna be fire, and then once you've done fire, I think you're just pushing AD, which is pretty rough.
It was kind of that thing of like, do you do ice or do you do forest and fire? And opting to do forest and fire, obviously, the slower of those 2 options by quite a significant amount. So, yeah, Decker taking the slower option here. Xeno gonna clear out water, notably.
Yeah.
Got the boss key and is still going.
Kinda makes sense, like, you're already here.
I'm getting multi-world flashbacks. I can't believe Richard the dog is gonna beat Decker again. So Decker saw the letter in field. At least we all thought it was the letter. Nobody seemed to think otherwise.
Yeah. So yeah, like if Decker wants to push this AD or this all dungeons play, he has all of the means to do so.
Yeah. I think that's one of the most important things is like pushing all dungeons. A lot of people I feel like push it very early. You don't have to worry about it until you have the items to do it. In this situation, obviously, Decker does have all the items to do it, so I think this is the right time to make a play like this. But yeah, just... we know it's not the right play.
Yeah, like, from his perspective, all of your med dungeons are clear, all of your side dungeons are clear, except for Ice, which you're gonna do later. Or like, you'll probably save for later, considering, like, you have to turn in the letter, at which point you probably do Jabu. So, like, doing these stone dungeons makes sense, because this is kind of just where your density is at this point. And at the same time, you're just, like, working towards the all dungeons opponents.
But yeah, I guess the big question mark here now then is Xenoh's perspective and where they go after water, which Xenoh did Dragon Chest first, right?
Yeah.
I'd already done Dragon Chest, which is surprising to me. We'll be down at the River Chest. But, you know, doesn't take a lot to just reset out. Has already save quit in here a couple of times. Can just reset out and then go out to Lake and Field. Can also Furor's Wind, can also Warp. I expect we'll see the save quit. I think this is Xenoh's race to lose at this point.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like, from here, you pretty much just do Lake into Field because you're here, and it's gonna be your first check in Field.
Mm-hmm. Oh, maybe not letter? Okay. I just appreciate the VOD dives. We do not get a lot of time to look, so... it's much appreciated.
Oh, there's not really much to talk about because nothing is gonna happen.
Yeah, there's not even other items they can find. Like, we've seen everything.
Aside from, like, the letter potentially, if that was just a bottle, but, like,
Yeah, okay,
even then, it's
that's
like...
true, yeah. Now I guess we do actually have letter to worry about, assuming that was a bottle. Which does mean that Decker doesn't have everything to do all dungeons.
That's true, yeah. But I think...
But also doesn't have
players still
other
fine.
plays left, yeah. Like, it's so low on options that you just have to do this.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, good call in chat that this could not have been. Actually, I don't know which ones were peaked. I don't remember, but there might have been a key peaks along the way.
So Xeno playing Serenade, so should be clearing up Lake into field here, and should hit go mode.
Yep, this looks like
This looks like a W for Xeno.
yeah, unless Deca coming out of fire just suddenly goes straight to market, I don't. And even then, is that in this? I don't know if that's enough. Probably close, but probably not.
I mean, like, Morpho's
Oh, not with
not the longest
TR as
boss,
well.
but
Yeah.
yeah. There's no way he would set Scarecrow and go fire, because what would he do?
Yeah,
in
no hammer,
fire?
so just not gonna make a play of it, I don't think. And I mean, this has been one of the big discussion points, right? With starting from season 4, where Freezy came in, the best setting in the randomizer. You start with this Zelda's Lullaby check, and as a result, getting your time of day for Richard in market is really difficult sometimes.
Why is Dubu in forest? He is not.
No, he's in fire, but also because his options are low. He does not have a lot of checks and needs strength 3.
Yep.
I do not like that screen. That's
I know, it's terrible.
oh, fell too far. I was gonna say I kind of hoped he would fall there and just leave, but grab the hearts. So yeah, at this point, Decker is missing a strength 3 on Richard the dog to go and check light trial, because he's already picked up the light arrow hint. It
Magic
told
too.
him Ganon's castle. Hey. That was available so early.
Well, I mean, I guess irons were
If
in
you did Valley, but-
GTGs. Yeah, you'd have to do Valley.
Yeah, but yeah. So we know that the lights are in Ganon's castle, and they have to be in light trial at this point. Decker's done the rest of it. Xeno, on the other hand, well, we'll give it about 30 seconds. I don't think even that.
And there we go. So that's gonna be long, or yeah, long shot for Xeno, which is glow mode. He does have the strength 3 requirement to get the light arrows, so should be on the fast track to finishing here.
I know there's always a few questions about the orders that people do Ganon's castle in, but no matter which way you do it, light trial is early. It's, you know, 8 checks, quick succession. It's just such a high priority. You always just push that first, or at least, if not first, you're not doing it first because you're starting like at spirit and then light trial and then loop round. So yeah, Xeno getting that hint will also get to skip most of Ganon's castle here and just grab their lights, and take off to beat Ganondorf.
Nice grab on Morpha there, getting the quick kill.
Like, it is worth noting this Fire Temple has been pretty fast in the sense of, like, it was basically the same speed as clearing out water for the most part. But the problem is that, yeah, even if it was good enough, Decker's next play is always forest here, right?
I would expect so, yeah.
Has already dipped forest, but like, in his mind, what else do you do? And just really hurt by Sunsong being buried away in the seed.
Yeah, absolutely. Alright, so Xeno finishing up with Water Temple here. Just gonna head straight for the Light Arrow hint. I think...
Also, can I just point out something terrible very quickly?
Sure.
We're talking about Decker getting the light arrow hint. He still never actually checked the pedestal, the seed.
Oh. I mean, he has all
Like,
the meds now, so...
Yeah, he just did it. He just... I don't recommend the play, but it worked out for him.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Oh no, not the prelude now. Not now. It's too late. This is the worst time to do it. Is it? Okay, now it's too late. Yeah. Oh, never mind. Okay, if that was an outside Ganon's castle, having already cleared the tower, I don't know if there's a frost wind there, but probably.
Yeah.
There might have been a very, like, slim chance, but no. Leaving market by this direction, that's it. That's 100% gone.
At least we get to see what this bottle actually was.
Yeah, true. We can see if it was letter. God, it's so close. And, like, you know, I will say this every losers bracket match I commentate. Not that there are a ton left, but
It is letter.
yeah, there's the child again. Okay. You know, a quarter of the runners have to go 0-2. Half your runners will lose their first match, and then half of those losers matches will lose their second. So 16 out of the top 64 will go 0-2, and it's like it has to happen to a quarter of them. Take absolutely nothing away from the play of anyone who's, you know, they've all already shown their strengths in making the top 64. And I mean, honestly, I think this seed, the entire way through with the back and forth of it, has shown... It's not even checking Richard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the back and forth of this seed has shown that this could have gone either way at so many points. The margins in this top 64 are so narrow. You'll always have favourites and underdogs, but anyone can beat anyone. And I'm excited to see it. Obviously, I'm friends with Decker, but I also love seeing an underdog win. So I'm not gonna lie, I've been like not so subtly cheering for Decker in this one, I imagine, but I'm definitely cheering for Xenoh from here on out. Seeing the low seeds cruise like fly through the bracket is always a sight to behold. I love it when it happens. So. Oh,
There's
another
another bottle.
And there they
And
are.
there we go.
I genuinely thought it was just going to be in the Zelda's Lullaby check at the back there. Just open this up, it's the 4th bottle.
God. No hammer here for the I mean, I guess you have big Goron
Right,
swords, so
yeah.
it's not a big deal, but
Emptying
kinda
the bugs
seems-
there is scary.
oh, you don't want to take that step forward.
That step forward's too early. Far too, yeah. I like taking the step forward, but you gotta wait until he's charging before you do it.
Yeah, this should be a pretty clean Ganondorf with big Goron sword. Very nice.
And then yeah, I assume we'll just see Xeno switch back to Big Goron Sword at the end of after doing the jump slash, but has the knots equipped, so maybe not.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
You should jump slash, and I think you should re-equip here, but
Big Goron sword is way faster than nuts.
yeah, nuts are slow. Like, the only reason I'm not 100% is that I think I've done that strat exactly once. I don't think it's come up for me very often. But, there's 10 of them. You've still got to do the roll back through with all of them. Exact counts, might miss. Like, yeah, there's so much, like, factoring into that.
Yeah, we are gonna see the big Goron sword equip, so
It's good.
he knows.
Not quite getting under. There we are, under the tail there. So, of course, it's worth mentioning now, the runners have been on a 20-minute delay. So, presumably, they know the differences, like little things about the seed. You know, Decker will have probably talked about where the remaining strength is to finish. But otherwise, if there are things you want us to ask the runners, if there's anything you're interested in finding out during the interviews, get them into the chat now. As far as I can see, both of them should be joining us.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, we're just one slash away from Xenoh taking the win here.
And there it is, yeah, big victory.
Also, I think it's worth mentioning that the winner from this match goes up against the loser from a match from last night. We might go into spoiler territory
Right.
potentially.
Yes.
So
Yeah, for sure. I always like asking them about their upcoming matches, so.
and yeah, we're gonna be joined by Decker. GG Decker.
Welcome, welcome.
Hi. Oh.
Where to start?
The size says it all.
Sometimes you just commit to not doing something and it fucks you in the ass, right? Like, shrug.
It was kind of like heartbreaking to watch in a few places because obviously you're getting a light arrow hint. There are so many places they could be at that point. At that stage we're seeing Xenoh full clearing forest
Right.
and doesn't have the long shot. That was the biggest difference at that point.
Yeah, it makes sense with the strength on Richard, to be fair.
So yeah, we obviously kind of saw that that difference there with the light arrows, and they could have been in so many places. If they were in forest, you're still ahead because of the long shot. If it's, fire, well, you were the only one who found the hammer in the seed, albeit I think after you got the light arrow hint.
Yeah, it was in Wasteland. I got on the way back to GTG for that big chest. Very fun.
Xenoh did say about joining, by the way, but I'm not 100% if they know to come into this server. I think that would be the big question mark. I haven't kept track of which of the first round matches had restreams, so yeah, there's kind of that back and forth with where the light arrows could end up being at that stage.
Right.
And there were like 3 bad options for you basically, and it just happened to be one of them.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was kind of worried about that going into it anyway, because I felt pretty bad about the seed. Like, I've been pretty busy since the start of December, so I've not managed to like really do the kind of practice I'd like to for the tournament.
Welcome.
Hey, GG's. Congrats.
GG's.
So we've just gone over a couple of small things, mostly the strength on Richard obviously being the problem. And so at the point where Decker got the light arrow hint just before the 2-hour mark, at a point, Xenoh, where you were in Forest Temple. And so we were saying at that stage there were kind of 3 bad options for Decker. It was outside Ganon's castle, inside Ganon's castle, or it's AD and there's an item behind one of those. I think that's pretty much it so far. And yeah, obviously, if it ended up being like forest or fire or there are a lot of plays there, but yeah, Jabba as well. But the big thing for most of this seed was those kind of conflicting strengths in market.
Yeah, I thought I was unlucky, but when I saw that, when I saw Dubu VOD, he's the only KS one, to be honest. Like not finding the strength is like, yeah, unlucky. Real unlucky.
What it is.
You're both unlucky.
It
For going
definitely
even like
happens.
45 minutes finding an item,
It definitely happens with these settings, right? Especially like Sunsong being locked as far as it is in the seed. Getting that time of day for market can be such a kind of hindrance. And the fact that you split them between you, it was quite funny on our end seeing, because I think we saw the child shooting from Decker's side before the first adult trip, which you'd skipped. And we were like, as you went back to child there, it was, oh, it's nighttime. Xeno's going to miss the strength. And then just another one turns up on Richard. Which obviously created a lot of conflict when you went over to the Gerudo area for the first time. Because Decker, you didn't have strength 2 going into GTG.
That's correct. So I did like a tiny bit, found everything, and was like, ooh, bye. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of felt like a bailout at the time. But, you know, the seed has a way of coming back to bite you with those moments, and sure enough, my castle is a pretty big one.
Oh my god, I don't imagine Dubu at this point.
I mean,
the old castle, and he knows that he's beyond strength 3. It should feel so bad.
it's what it is. Like, at the end of the day, I didn't do a check. That check had what I needed. Sometimes that just happens.
Yeah, I mean, you did great. Let's be honest, you did great. You just got unlucky, I guess.
You clearly didn't see me in Mido's house. That's yeah, my execution at the start was super sloppy, and then like in glow mode it was pretty as well.
There were a lot of points where we called out your execution as being really good for seed. I think it was really good for the most part.
It was good from like 20 minutes to like an hour and 40 maybe. Then like on either side of that, I was a bit jittery, but and then like after the light arrow hit, I kind of just sort of went, right, I've got to just do things, you know. But yeah, I don't know what happened with that Mido's chest. I just couldn't open it.
Didn't find it.
Yeah.
It was hidden. Stealth.
Well,
I mean,
normally I just walk in and
so-
open it. Yeah, I normally just open it and there's no problem. But then it didn't open and I'm like, I'll just move a little bit and press A. Didn't work. I'll move on and come back to it after the big chest. So yeah. That was not something I want to repeat, to be honest.
But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of this race, and you know, top 64 is so close this season. There's Drew mentioned earlier, but the margin on points to get not just like kind of the upper half of top 64 and then kind of, you know, going partway into Challenge Cup was so close on points that at some stage it's going to come down to tiny routing decisions, the gambles you take, and sometimes it's, you know, it's a randomizer. How does the randomizer roll? This race was so back and forth the whole time. Like, either of you could have taken this at so many points. And yeah, it was a really fun race to watch. Really, really close one. So very impressed with both sides of the play.
Well, as long as it's an entertaining race, that's fine by me, I think.
Yeah. Agreed.
So obviously Xenoh moving forwards in the bracket here. We do know who your next opponent is. That race was played yesterday. Which was, it's not updated on the challenge. But I'm pretty sure it's Ice9.
Yeah, it's Ice9. Yeah. I looked at it last night and I was like,
yeah.
oh.
Oh no. It's gonna be tough.
I was gonna say, do you have much of a history racing with Ice9? Do you know a lot about their playstyle?
Nah.
Or...
I don't know the guy at all. Like, I think he's an old player, right? Like season 3 maybe? Season 4?
4, I think, yeah.
Because I don't see him playing that much. So I don't know I don't know the guy. I just know he's good, but I don't know the guy.
Yeah, it was in Season 4 Challenge Cup. And one of the Brazilian community members, they have a very strong kind of community growing there. So gonna be a fun one for the community showdowns, the French versus Brazilian teams.
Yeah.
I don't think I've got anything else to say. I don't know if either of you have more thoughts about the seed. Drew, have you got anything to chime in with?
Nothing really, no.
I don't think I've got anything. Like, I didn't have too much. Like I said, I didn't have too much expectations with Top 64 because, like, I think the way I default play works quite well for quals. So the fact that I couldn't practice for quals wasn't as big a deal. But I couldn't like adjust or anything with 1v1s, so I just kind of had to go into it and play the same and hope it would work. And it didn't, but it's like, you know, not really much I can do. I'm already like getting barely any sleep at the moment, so just do what I can. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess just GG again, Xeno. Congrats.
Yeah, congrats again.
And good luck going forward.
So yeah, I think that's everything for today. GG's to both runners for today. Pretty interesting seed. Sub 2 hour light arrows hint on the water shadow spirits seed is pretty jet usually, and then light arrows. But yeah. Big thanks to both of our commentators today, Drew Ness and Yoshikan. And also big thanks to our tracker Making Mary. Fantastic job today. So we still have a lot of Ocarina of Time Randomizer races today. We have, I think we have the Ocarina of Time DDR weekly race coming up later on ZSR2. And we have, for the standard tournament, we have the loser bracket round 1 between Tenjo and Alazun on the SR at 7 p.m. UTC. And then we also have the winner bracket round 2 between Flush and I Do Know on the SR4. For games that are not Ocarina of Time, we have the Majora Mask Randomizer standard weekly race on the SR3 in 1 hour. And yeah, that's all the races for today. I believe there might be the NA weekly race. I'm not sure about that yet. But yeah, that's it for us for now. Thanks everyone, and see you later. Bye.
Bye.